Hello everyone. It's been a year. Not quite the year I or any of us would have envisioned 12 months ago, but then I guess if there's one thing you can count on is that life never runs according to the script, as Ruby wisely stated. I want to begin by acknowledging the amazing individuals that I've had the pleasure of working with for the past year. Ruby, Patty and Mitch, you've been a joy to spend time with, and I'm so grateful to have had shared this challenging but incredible experience with you all. To Mr. Anderson and Miss Harwood, our school leaders who have not only led us during tumultuous times, but endured significant additional burdens this past year, and who have risen to meet and defeat those challenges. Thank you for leading us and guiding us. Your compassion, motivation, dedication, and unconditional support has steered the entire school community through this period of great uncertainty. This extends to all the wonderful staff at this school. Without you and your St. John spirit, we wouldn't have had our not-so-coordinated Zoom dances, lip-sync battles, and how could we forget the hot hit Bye-Bye Teaching Online. When I began my school captain journey 12 months ago, I had grand expectations of the amazing things we would achieve. Although we hit this major hurdle, I look back with pride at our contribution. I remember the fun things, like our laughs during assemblies, our famous crumbling seed bombs for World Teachers' Day, our pretty incredible problem solving, as something is always bound to go wrong, the late night speech writing, our Zoom spoon and wine skits, dances at retreat, and I would say rapping, but I'm still waiting for Ruby and Patty to iconically bust out that one. One of the most powerful observations I've made during the past few months is the strength of our connection with each other, and how this has provided us with such great support and guidance during these challenging times. But what is connection? Connection is the energy that is created between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship. Connection helps bring purpose within our lives, and the need to feel connected is neurobiologically how we are wired. But what underpins connection? Connection doesn't just happen, something has to create it. I believe vulnerability is the driving force of connection. The strongest bonds are created under the greatest pressure. Vulnerability creates openness to new experiences and genuine relationships, admitting our mistakes, seeking help, and acknowledging we don't have all the answers, as well as apologizing. Each involve expressions of vulnerability. And while vulnerability is terrifying at times, it is also brave and unique, and it's impossible to connect on any meaningful level without it. However, somewhere along the way, the messaging seems to have been misdirected, and we have turned vulnerability from something of strength and associated it with weakness. Accordingly, our willingness to show vulnerability has diminished. Today we actively seek ways to hide our vulnerability, whether it's through Instagram filters, responding with "I'm fine" to "How are you?", distracting humour, or just plain avoidance. We seek anonymity when expressing our true thoughts. We've stopped allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. We've toughened up. But when we protect ourselves from being vulnerable, we also remove opportunities to create new and meaningful connections. When we numb the hard feelings, we also numb joy, gratitude, and happiness, which leaves us feeling miserable. But don't just believe me. Brené Brown is an acclaimed research professor from the University of Houston and an expert in the field of vulnerability. One of the most powerful things she found in her decade of research is that a sense of worthiness is what distinguishes people who have a strong sense of love and belonging from those who do not. And those who believe they are worthy have the courage to be imperfect. In other words, they embrace their vulnerability. I've reflected about my own vulnerability in the context of connection. In Year 10, the Little Shop of Horrors musical auditions opened. I'd always wanted to be part of a school musical, and with hardly any dance training and believing I was incredibly uncoordinated, I felt my most vulnerable. I feared my older, more experienced peers and prepared accordingly, afraid of putting myself out there and ultimately being rejected. However, I was able to find the courage to put my vulnerabilities aside and present myself, warts and all. I was fortunate to get a lead role, and the cast and I worked so hard together, supporting each other as we practiced lines and dance routines. And when it got to the end of the last show, I couldn't be prouder of what we presented. Through this vulnerability, I formed some incredible connections with people in other year levels, connections which still last today. I'm sure you can all relate. Whether it was starting a new school, your first speech in front of an audience, maybe you auditioned for that solo in choir or band, or wrote your name down for butterfly at swimming carnival or triple jump at sports day with absolutely no experience. It pays to be authentic and unique. To admit that you are inexperienced, but try anyway, and if you step up, you are not your mistakes or failures, as Paddy reflected in his speech. When we believe we are worthy of connection, we are more likely to move towards others. We'll be the first to say, I love you, and the quick to say, I miss you, not just in absence, but in the growing apart. We'll ask for help, and we'll be open to the love, affection, and influence of others. We'll be grateful, we'll be connected. In other words, embracing vulnerability is to experience all aspects of life, even if it means doing so without certainty or guarantee that something is going to work out. If I was never vulnerable and didn't put myself out there, I wouldn't have had many of the best experiences of my life. If I didn't push through the discomfort, I wouldn't be standing here today, sitting, as your parting school captain. To be human is to be excruciatingly vulnerable, and it is with great vulnerability that I tell you all this today. So, embrace your vulnerability, be the difference, as you may have heard from Mitch's speech, and create strong connections, and you never know what your life will bring. Thank you all for listening.